I send to this now. The 2023-2024 IPID Annual Report indicates about 110 rape incidents allegedly involving police officers. Now, in a recent case, a 35-year-old orderly at the Blue Downs Magistrate's Court in Cape Town allegedly raped a female remandee while she awaited transfer to Paulsmoor Prison. For more on this conversation, we are joined now by Lesiba Thobakgale, the South African Police Union spokesperson. Lesiba, thanks so much for coming on. IPID is investigating rape as a result of police action, at least in their report. What they are alleging is that there were 110 rape allegations against police officers reported to IPID just in this financial year alone. Is this consistent with your understanding?
Yeah, thank you for having us and greetings to your viewers. We take note of the IPID report, which clearly outlines those numbers in terms of allegations and cases that they are busy investigating. And further to that, when we look at the nature of the job, I mean, police officers are those members of the public service who are expected to perform their duty with due diligence without any form of reproach. And it is unfortunate that there are such allegations, but we need to treat them as allegations as they are subjected to different types of investigations. And definitely IPID being the watchdog of the police, they are the ones who are expected to do due diligence to those types of investigations. But also, we don't want to find ourselves, Thabo, where we would, become conclusive and to be found judging members based on what has been reported in this regard. Yeah. But we are saying that it is important that in each and every case when allegations, they really happen to pop up, IPID must do their job to investigate up to the latter, and any outcome that will come, being it through the departmental trial or through the criminal court cases, if those cases, they really stand in court and then the outcomes really come, and that's what we would then be able to accept and even maybe be able to comment even further on them. But if it is still allegations that has been reported that are subjected to processes, we will allow and let the law to take its course.
You would agree, though, that if this report does indeed find ground, it would be exposing a rather disturbing trend of rape committed by South African police?
Yeah, like we said, that police officers are clearly expected to perform their duties with due diligence, and them not having anything, that is unlawful on their side. That is why we clearly condemn any form of criminality. But those types of issues, those isolated incidents are not supposed to clearly be the ones that, take us back when it comes to the level of trust that the members of society have on the police, and also the relationship that we are working so hard to build, because we take note of those incidents. But it is not everyone who is found having such allegations or such allegations reported against them. So we also need to give focus clearly to the bigger picture, that indeed it is showing the good work that the police are doing in making sure that they keep the inhabitants of the Republic and their property safe in this country. That relationship between the society and the community, to us, it is quite important, because it really has taken quite a long time to build that relationship, and we need to continue building it despite challenges that we may be coming across, maybe inclusive of such allegations that IPID outlined.
There are some activists who are actually critical of the IPID process, saying it is actually too slow to respond to what the activists have concluded is actually a rape crisis that is ongoing, that involves South African police. In fact, they are saying that the SAPS human resources departments must now kick in and begin to act.
IPID has its responsibility to investigate as they are clearly the watchdog of the police in terms of their mandate. And then they are the ones who are responsible to really look into whatever that has to happen, more especially in terms of investigations. We take note of challenges that they have, more especially when it comes to not having enough investigators. And we are hopeful that the amendments into their act will be able to assist them further in order for them to be capacitated so that they can be able to speedily resolve cases, investigate cases that are there when it comes to allegations against the police. And also when we look at discipline within the internal discipline of management within the South African Police Services, in terms of the SAPS regulations of 2016, it clearly put it out there that discipline, it is a line management function. And clearly where management has to take action when it comes to what they have found out, more especially because they also have to investigate. Remember, the investigations are two different investigations. IPID would investigate the criminal part, when management would internally also order their own internal investigation, so that if indeed one has to undergo through the disciplinary regulations of 2016, those processes would unfold. So we happen to be surprised to say other activists, what are they talking about? Because discipline is a line management function, and management for them to have the process of discipline kicking in, they don't need it. It is not subjected to what IPID is saying, because they have themselves to investigate internally.
So what they're saying is that we see, for example, cops being arrested and charged with rape, and then they continue to work. The HI processes are too slow in the police to respond to that kind of crime.
No, we don't agree with that view, because like we said, discipline is a line management function. If one has allegations against them, they get arrested. It doesn't mean if when they get to be released on bail, then that tomorrow they get shown the door. There are internal processes that are there that needs to be followed. And those internal processes, they include investigations as well, because one has to find out whether there's a prima facie case that a member has to answer to, except that one was arrested, because that is pending the criminal case on the other side. Management has to follow their own internal processes, which indeed they don't just happen overnight. They have to do due diligence, so that ultimately whatever action that they are taking, it is an action that is informed by facts that are there, which can be proven, facts that can be placed before a disciplinary tribunal. So the disciplinary regulations of 2016 clearly outlines the processes, and we don't agree with that view that those processes are not kicking in appropriately.
Do you have concern that the IPID data, which now is, of course, in the public domain available for all to see, continues the erosion of trust in the police, especially if somebody reads a report that says rape committed by police officers every 3 days on average?
That is indeed concerning to us. We don't know what informed them placing it in that manner. We were not part of their reporting, obviously. But our concern is it is the level of trust that is there. And what we would have loved to also see, it is in terms of the convictions thereof, because it is another story to speak of, to say there's allegations. There are so many cases that have been reported. They are still ongoing, but without giving a clear outcome of some of those cases to say how far they've went. If that report would be balanced, we think that it would be shedding at least, more especially, a very clear picture. We're concerned clearly as a union about the trust levels between our police and also the members of the communities. As such incidents like this, indeed, they seem to erode that level of trust, which indeed we don't want to see it falling apart, because it is a very important relationship that we need to work on, that we need to make sure that we maintain it despite any challenges that we happen to come across. We must not lose our eyes on the ball ball, because the ball that we are faced with, which is our enemy, that is crime. So we need to look at it broadly, and where there's certain cases that happens to erode that type of trust, we need to isolate those cases and have necessary processes follow through. But we need not to lose focus on fighting against our biggest enemy, which is crime in South Africa.
Yeah. The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Policing, Ian Cameron, has called for harsher sentences to be imposed on police members who are convicted of rape. Would you support that call?
We would have loved to hear him even saying the very same thing, supporting our call to say the police office, those who kill police officers must face harsher sentences and that they must face treason. We would have supported that part. As far as we know, currently, the Criminal Procedure Act, it is the one that outlines clearly to say what sentences anyone who's found guilty of any form of crime in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act, what sentences are they supposed to face. We are saying that we are aligning ourselves with what is found within the Criminal Procedure Act, because that is what indeed is appearing. That is what it is setting the precedence when it comes to any form of cases, not only against police officers, not only that also covers the members of society broadly. But we would have loved to hear the chairperson also supporting our call of the killing of the police officers, which is a crisis in this country.
One might surmise from listening to you as the union, Lesiba, that you don't share the sentiment that says the South African Police Service is facing a crisis of rape and corruption.
No, we are saying there are internal processes. Remember, it depends on, we depend on cases that are reported. I mean, if you have seen the 2024-2025 report by IPID outlining the numbers in terms of, to say, those that were committed on duty, those that were committed off duty. And we must as well remember that if you are a police officer, the reality that you are faced with is that you are quite prone to have allegations, any form of allegations, not specifically of rape, any form of allegations, whether you are on duty or off duty, that may arise against you. That is why we are subscribing clearly to the rule of law, to say where there's allegations, let investigations be there. And if indeed one has a case to answer to, let the law take its course. And any outcome that comes out of those processes, because we believe that those processes would have given due diligence to those processes, we will welcome those outcomes. But we don't want to really throw aspersions, more especially based on allegations. But we are saying that let us subscribe ourselves to the rule of law, up to taking all those cases to the latter, bringing them to finality and seeing what are those outcomes. But we need to deal with form of criminality in this country generally, so not only to give focus to those that involves the police alone.
Lesiba Thobakgale, much appreciated, speaking on behalf of the South African Police Union.